Hello again, everyone. It's me, Johnny. I want to thank you for checking out my channel. And today I want to talk to you about what cancer taught me about relationships and women. Let us pray. Nah, it's going to be a fun subject. These are some of the things that I've learned. You know, whenever you hear about people healing from cancer with nutrition, you always hear about the green juices. You always hear about the high-dose vitamin C, the Laertriol, oxygen chambers, infrared saunas, raw vegan diet, tons of supplements, you know, rebounding, exercising, walking, meditation, prayer. But some of the things you never really hear about is dealing with toxic emotions that are just as deadly and also affect the immune system. It's not only what you eat that matters, it's the way you think. Because your cells are listening to every thought that you have. Everything you say and the song that you constantly play over and over and over again. And through this journey, I've learned to deal with toxic emotions. For me, part of my journey, the easy part was juicing. Had no problem. Healthy diet, no problem. Dealing with the man in the mirror, problem. Because you've come to use, in order to heal from something, you first must find out what got you there. The symptom may be a tumor, but what's the root cause? What's the root cause that got you there? That triggered the emotional eating, that triggered staying up all night, that triggered you running to the refrigerator for Haagen-Dazs ice cream, you know, instead of a healthy snack, that triggered you to start eating right before you go to sleep and then can't sleep through the night and wonder why you don't get a good night's sleep. You know, it's all these things. One triggers off the other. And when you don't deal with self and you try to suppress it, you're headed for a train wreck. And for me, I believe that was the issue, that some of the issues that I had to deal with. And, you know, it affected everything in my life, from my vocation I chose as a job, from relationships, because you're not really dealing with the real you if you're dealing with suppressed emotions. I'm going to use an analogy. Let's say, beautiful young lady, you meet at a club, 28 years old, beautiful, beautiful, whatever you think of as being beautiful, that's it. You use that. But in my analogy, beautiful woman that you meet, you see her, she's at the bar, at the club, hanging out with friends, and you two exchange numbers, you decide to go hang out, and you hook up, and you get together, you start dating, and all of a sudden, this beautiful young lady that you're dealing with, all of a sudden you start seeing some things in her, and you don't understand where it's coming from. You know, sadness, or it could be anger, it could be, I don't know, not being honest. And it could happen to men too, but I'm going to use a woman. This could work either way. And let's say this young lady was probably molested at 16 years old, or at 12 years old, or a young man probably molested at 5 years old. What I'm going to share with you can work either way. I'm just using analogies of things that I've learned, okay? Or a little toddler being abused, physically abused, you know, being whooped with belts, being whooped with hangers, being whooped with extension cords, being whooped with Hot Wheel tracks. You know, all these things as a little child. Let's say we're dealing with that. But now you meet this person as an adult. The question is that when you're dating this 28-year-old woman or this 30-year-old guy, and they start acting weird, what you call weird, or having anger issues, or maybe lying, or maybe not being totally honest with you, or certain things that just don't seem right, anger issues, or they say they love you after a while, but instead of loving you like this, there's an intimacy, but it's a distant intimacy. Saying, I love you, but I love you from here, and that's as close as I'm going to let you come, and you can't figure out why. Okay? And if this person was abused, let's say at 16 years old or at 12 years old, the question is, are you really dealing with the 28-year-old woman or the 32-year-old woman, or are you dealing with the 12-year-old that got sexually assaulted or the 16-year-old that got sexually assaulted? As a guy, it could be the same thing. Are you really dealing with the man that has anger issues, that has drinking issues, that isn't being totally honest? Are you dealing with that guy as a 30-year-old, or are you dealing with the 15-year-old that got abused, or got raped, or felt abandonment issues? All these things, the good book says, train up a child in the way that he should go. A child isn't a 17-year-old. We may think of it today in our society, but a child at 5 years old, 4 years old, 3 years old, 2 years old. That's when the brain is developing. That's when all the neurons are building in the brain. That's when time to hug a child. That's when a child wants to be embraced and to be loved. That's when you teach a child some of the most important things about caring, about love, is at that age, because that's when the brain is developing. And see, we're all wired to love. If you believe in what the good book says, that God is love, and we're created in the image and the likeness of God, every one of our cells are wired to love already. No one has to teach you how to love. But now, if you've been sexually assaulted, if you've been abused, verbally abused, physically abused, whatever you abuse is abuse. You're really not wired for that. And if it's from a family member or somebody that you know and it's suppressed, it makes it even worse, because you may think that you're dating the 32-year-old woman or the 28-year-old woman, but who you're really dealing with when it comes to intimacy is the 16-year-old that was brutally raped, or the 12-year-old that was brutally raped. You're not dealing with the 32-year-old, the 30-year-old man. What you're dealing with is a child. From that perspective, he's still stuck there and he's screaming out, "Love me," but love me from a distance. Why? Because he's been wounded and it's been suppressed, and he's never dealt with it. He's never dealt with the true self. So you're never really going to see the true self in that relationship. You'll get a version of that person, right? And you can love that person, but they don't even know how to accept your love. Remember, you're wired to love. No one has to teach you how to love, but you're wired to love. And if this is you, because I deal with a lot of cancer patients that I help out, and I ask them, how's your relationships? How's the toxic thoughts? I'm just blunt about it. You know, how's the relationship with your father? How's the relationship? Well, you've been divorced. Well, what was it about the divorce? What was it? How was the relationship with your father? And what I found is a lot of times they're patterns. Even with me, my personal journey is dealing with physical abuse as a child, and how it affected relationships going forward in my life. And I say, love me, but I'm not going to let you get this close. Don't get close to me. But you want to be loved. But inside there's that little child that's screaming out for help. And if this is you, and I know it's hard to deal with, don't let it rob the rest and let it control the rest of your life. There's freedom. There's freedom in dealing with the issues. And I know it's hard for some. I mean, I know I met people, or especially women. For some reason, when I go out and teach or something like that, I get a contact with women. And some that I met are young, they've been raped. I mean, brutally raped as kids, as young women. And today, they're having dysfunctional relationships. And we're in the process of getting them help. I don't counsel them, but I know people that can counsel them where they can get help. And if this is you, don't let it ruin the rest of your life and rob you. Don't let it get to a stage 4 cancer diagnosis before you deal with this. Okay? And these are just some of the things I want to talk to you when it comes to relationships. And for me, like I tell people, you really don't want to you really don't want to hook up with me, because I have more issues than Amazon has categories. I'm just that jacked up, and I'm just starting to deal with myself and starting to love myself and starting to enjoy my life, really, as a whole, as a man. And one of the things I had to deal with, the hardest thing for me to deal with, is dealing with self and confronting those things that happened to me. And looking back at my life and reflecting on, that's why I was like this, that's why this thing happened, that's why this thing happened. And it isn't, you're never going to see the full version of you until you deal with self. You're never going to be truly happy. You may think this person's going to make you happy, but if you're suppressing the true beauty of who you are on the inside, that person's never going to see it. It's always going to be a distant romantic relationship, where these people don't even know how to hug, don't even want to be cuddled, And you get into these things, and if they're dealing with that, get them help. Get them help. There's no shame in getting help for that person. Now I want to go to what cancer taught me. I said this title is going to be What Cancer Taught Me About Relationships and Women. Now here's what I learned about relationships. Okay. Now this is going to be relationships and women, what I've learned. Okay. From the top. What I've learned going through my cancer journey is marriage is not a one-night stand. Marriage is a commitment, not with your lips, but from your heart. All right. Marriage is probably one of the most important decisions that you're ever going to make in your life that's going to affect generations, because marriage is a generational decision, because you're going to if you have kids from that marriage, it's going to affect the generations to come. All right. Marriage is not Hollywood interpretations where you complete me. No, you're already completed with all your dysfunctions, insecurities, and everything. That's to complete you, and the task is to learn how to deal with self, that inward journey. It ain't the outward journey. There's people that go to the gym and weights gym, pumping weights, lifting weights, and all this other stuff. Then they get off the bandwagon, they gain all the weight back. Why? Because the problem isn't on the outside. What they're seeing is a symptom on the outside. The real issue is on the inside. And what you have on the inside will reflect on the outside. But you have to deal with it because your heart is like a garden. Whatever you let in there is going to grow. All right? Here it is, dealing with relationships. Don't look for someone else to make you happy. First must find happiness within yourself. And it's finding who you truly are and what you're truly called to be, because you're born with a purpose and a destiny. All right? Raise the bar. Raise the bar, what I mean by raise the bar is if you're constantly getting caught in these toxic relationships, don't just jump in the next one. Take time for yourself and get to know you. Get to know the real you before you step into another relationship. All right? And if you're not willing to deal with self, you're always going to end up falling short of that true person who you're called to be. Abuse is abuse, whether it's verbal abuse, abusive relationships, well, whether it's verbal abuse, physical abuse, you don't have to tolerate that. Go on, pack your bags and leave. Verbal abuse, mental abuse. Abuse is abuse. There's different forms of abuse, and you don't have to deal with a toxic relationship. There's over 6 billion people on the planet. Believe me, the odds in your favor that you can find someone that's truly going to love you for who you are. All right? Learn to love on you. Learn to love on you. Learn to be alone with you and spend time alone with you. Like I enjoy walks on the beach by myself in the morning. Walks. And I can walk for miles. And that's my time of meditation, reflection, getting focused on what it is for the next coming week, the next couple days with my other business ventures and everything else I got going on. A chaotic lifestyle. Now, here what I call, I'm going to jump right into this. This is what I call the pillars of relationships. For me, I'm going to give you the Johnny perspective. Now, this can work either way. Guy, girl, guy, whatever you're into, it works either way. But this is from my perspective of what I've learned about relationships and how to have relationships and how to treat a woman. It took cancer diagnosis to teach me or open my eyes on how to treat a woman. Yeah. All right. Fall in love with her insecurities and her vulnerabilities. In other words, the reason I say that is because you're going to see that in her. All right? And you have a choice. You can either tear her down with her insecurities and speak down to her, or you can learn to embrace them and help her overcome what she's insecure about and learn to work with her through those things, and vice versa. You can do it for the guy and the girl because there's two people in a relationship, all right? And a healthy relationship is one that encourages the other, not tearing down someone or trying to make yourself feel better and dominate over that person. That's not a relationship. That's a toxic relationship, and you need to find someone else, all right? Never exploit her weaknesses. In other words, when you get into an argument and the first thing you go after is everything that she can't do, forgetting that everything that she can do for you. But we tend to go for the jugular vein and rip her down, rip that person down, and go after the things that they can't do. And we amplify them and we magnify them and we throw them in their face, wounding them even more. They already know this. They don't need you to bring it to their attention. This is how they feel already. And when you do that, it hurts them even more. All right? All right. Never speak to her in a condescending manner, both in private or in public. Never speak down to her. You're having not coming together on certain decisions or a disagreement. Don't settle it out in public. Don't make her feel any worse or anything like that, or vice versa. This works both ways, all right? When you do that, all you're doing is ripping apart the relationship, all right? And not everybody thinks alike. Oh, I can get into that one, all right? Serve the woman you love. In other words, serve the woman you love. For me, from my perspective, is that the way I look at it. This is me. If you both sleep in the same bed, don't wait for her to make up the bed in the morning. Or don't wait for her to change the sheets. If both of you slept in it, this is my perspective. You can agree with it, don't agree with it. It works both ways, you know. Or for me, the way I look at it, if we both ate off the same dinner plates, and don't wait for her to come clean off the table while you go unbuckle your pants, sit in front of the TV with the remote control while somebody's in the kitchen cleaning up everything. I mean, the day is long, especially if you have kids. You both have kids. All right? Serve the woman you love. Celebrate the woman she is. Celebrate the woman she is what I mean by that is don't wait for Valentine's Day. Don't wait for her birthday. Don't wait for Christmas. Don't wait for Mother's Day to show her how much you appreciate her. If you really want to make a woman happy, go out and buy her an outfit. Buy an outfit that you want to see her in and take her out to dinner. Just surprise her when she comes home. Have the outfit ready. Take her out to dinner for the weekend. Do something romantic. Don't wait for 4 days out of the year to show her how much you appreciate her, if that's the woman that you truly love. And this works both ways. All right? All right. Learn to talk to her and not at her. That's a big one. She's not one of your boys down at the club. She's not one of your boys that you hang out with. Learn to talk to her. Being a great communicator makes a healthy relationship when you can communicate. And there's different ways of communicating. All right? But when you can communicate and you can talk to that person and treat her with respect and dignity, that woman's going to love you she's going to love you. She's going to fall in love with you because you respect her. All right? Make your relationship a priority. And make your relationship a priority means that when you go out to dinner or something, you can see families out going out to dinner or something like that. Everybody's on their iPhones. Everybody's, there's no communication of the family. For me, what I've learned to do is if we go out to dinner, we're hanging out, even with friends, I turn off my phone. I flip it and I give you my attention and we're here in the conversation. Okay, I go to back to the 1980s when we didn't have these, or the 70s when we didn't have these iPhones. All right? Let's make your relationship a priority. Here's another one. Learn to feed her spirit, soul, and body. In other words, a woman's not only looking for regular food, but she's looking for you to feed her spiritually. Intimacy. She's looking for intimacy. She's looking for you to touch her heart, touch her mind. Intimacy. Spirit, soul, and body, just not by food. There's different forms of feeding a woman. All right? And you have to get that. And when you have that, you're going to have a happy woman. All right? Here's a good one. Never stop chasing her, and you'll never lose her. Never stop chasing that woman, and you'll never lose her. All right? That's another one. Making your relationship a priority. These are things that I've learned on my cancer journey, and it works both ways. Here's one that I've learned. I got this one off the internet. If you learn to kiss her heart, you'll capture her soul. That's a good one. If you learn to kiss her heart, you'll capture the soul. You'll capture everything, the essence of who she is. All right? And what I've learned on this journey, these are some of the things I've learned. And it's like I said, it works both ways. It's just not one-sided. It's a relationship between two people. When you have 3 people involved in a relationship, then you have drama. Okay? And it's a toxic relationship. It's 2 people. And when you give all that you have to this person in a relationship, and you're doing it in the right way, I still believe in that crazy love stuff. Maybe everything that cancer taught me on dealing with life itself made me raise the bar on how I view things and how I view relationships and who I let in my circle and who I let around me and who I let speak into my life with all the other things that I got going on in my crazy life now. But these are just some of the things I wanted to share with you. I hope they bless you. God bless you guys. Love you. And thank you for everything, and thank you for all your support. God bless.